お互いを知らなくても私たちは同じ目標のために同じ選択をする。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。ふん、2倍速ってこんなもん？
そうよ、一体人事なす動じないで、答え見つけてごらん。
引導を渡そう。涙雨降りてあふれる。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
頑張って
全てが消える。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
引導を渡そう。涙雨降りてあふれる。
消化勝利動じないで、答え見つけてごらん。
全てが消える。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。ふん、2倍速ってこんなもん？
人事なす頑張って
涙雨降りてあふれる。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
そうよ、一体動じないで。
ひゃっ涙雨降りてあふれる。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。ふん、2倍速ってこんなもん？
頑張って答え見つけてごらん。
引導を渡そう。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
動じないで。
全てが消える。涙雨降りてあふれる。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
消化勝利人事なす
引導を渡そう。
わっふっふん2倍速ってこんなもん。
頑張って答え見つけてごらん。
全てが消える。涙雨。へっひっ降りてあふれる。記憶が残る場所。触れられるのはトゲのある花ばかりだ。
「
なあ、教えてやるよ。
なんで無糖のスラーダがないんだ。
覚まして、目を覚まし、ちょっと起きて。いつまで寝てるの？もう日は昇ってるんだけど。大丈夫？うちの声は聞こえる？部屋の中から。何言ってんの？もうちゃんと起きて。一日経ったけど、思い返すと今でも冷や汗が出てくる。あや、そんな時にグースか寝てられるなんて、あんたって余裕？そういえば、あんたが寝てる間に性格の封印は終わったよ。あと調和セレモニーについてだけど、表向きには未知なる性格の災いに見舞われたため、今はオーク家以外が事件の影響を抑え込むために頑張ってるの。列車組も呼ばれてて、これからファミリーの基調赤号で開かれる重要な会談に証人として出席する予定なんだ。あとはあんただけだから。
ほとばしる過去の伝説。へっ。
あれだけ。超大きな飛行艇のこと。公の場には出てこない船で、ファミリーの貴賓だけがアイリス家からも記念品とかフルーツとか、よくできたボタンの模型と。あんたが寝てる間に性格は封印されたの。あと調和セレモニーについては、表向きには未知なる性格の災いに見舞われたため中止せざるを得なくなったってファミリーが声明を出したんだ。秩序のことを公にするわけにはいかないから。今はオーク家以外が事件の影響を抑え込むために。急にどうしたの？夢の中に引きずり込まれた時、冷たい触手がその後はいっぱい食べたり飲んだりショッピングしたりする夢を見たんだよね。まさかサンデーのやつ、それがうちの望む。乗船。
贅沢三昧の生活、イプシロンにそっくり。どう？
その質問、ここに来たばかりの時も
確かあの時の答えはノーだった。でもいろいろなことが起こった今、あなたは結構それを気に入ってるように思える。それでもやっぱり忠告しておく。あ なたはまだハウンド家の指名手配リストに載ってるからあまり目立たないよ。これまでと違って今回写真に写ってるのはサムじゃなくてホタルだしね。なかなか珍しい体験。
そうだね。カフカの言葉を借りれば、これも私の人生の欠けてる部分なのかも。でも自由に行動できないのは不便だな。銀狼、手を貸してくれない？
そう来ると思った。安心して、もう手は打ってあるから。システムをハッキングして、でも目立つことはしないように。ホタルのことを知ってる警備員に近づくのもダメ。それだけ守れば誰も
ありがとう。
どういたしまして、サミュエルさん。このピノコニーでの任務は終わったわけだけど、この後の自由時間は何する予定なの？天才クラブの人たちも来てるらしいから、一緒にちょっと大きなことでもしてみる？
知ってると思うけど、私の脚本はまだ終わってないの。
私があなたをここに送り返したのは。
安心して。脚本には宴の星が3回の死を与えるってことの他に、ここで忘れられない収穫を得るとも書かれてるから。
Perhaps the real unforgettable reward were the friends she made along the way.
やってみなくちゃわからない。結果が出るまで可能性は無数に存在する。
あなた、自分の悪い癖に気づいてないんだね。疑問形を使うのはいつも心の中で答えが決まっているとき。わかった。じゃあカフカからの伝言を伝えとく。ピノコニーで何かいいものを見つけたら私の分もよろしくね。具体的なことは言ってなかったけど、多分ドレスかコート、あるいはサングラスとかだと思う。こういうのはホタルの方が詳しいでしょ。
了解。忘れないようにするね。オーディショッピングセンターなら選択肢も多いし。あ、ねえ、カフカって綺麗なアクセサリーとか気に入ってくれると思う？例えばヘアアクセとかブローチとか。
そういうのってもっと若い子向けだと思うけど、買うなら自分のために買ったら。あとジンが気をつけろって言ってた。多分ピノコニーには他にも誘惑があるって意味だと思う。まったく。
きっと親切心で言ってくれてるんだよね。私は何もしない。ただ自分の足で歩き回ってもっとこの世界を感じたいだけ。あ、オークロールを買いに行こうかな。ピノコニーに着いた日から毎日一つ食べてたんだ。今日は2つ買うから1つは銀狼にあげる。君が気に入らなかったら私は2倍美味しい思いができるしね。あるいはカフカにもちろん脚本にはこんなこと書かれてない。私はもう自分で運命に。
お疲れ様です、トパーズ総監。ファミリーの代表は今も中で準備を進めておりまして、ビッグボスもまだ到着しておりませんので、会談が始まるまでもう少しかかるかと思います。
へえ、この見栄えの良さ。ファミリーは本当に表面的なところに力を入れてるんだ。 りもっと控えめでフォーマルな場所を選ぶかと思ってたのに、まさか豪華な飛行艇にするなんてね。
総監、これは聞いた話なのですが、この貴重石号はルーサン家の資産だそう。カンパニーとファミリーの今回、しかし
ああ、多分今回の会談はただの前菜なんじゃないかな。企画した人が誰であれ、カンパニーの意図を事前に探る。その大物は自分なりの野心があって、前もって私たちと何らかの合意に達し。
おお、さすがはトパーズ総監、冴えていらっしゃる。ではビッグボスがお見えになったら、相手が罠を仕掛けていないか
ご親チームのみんなに伝えて。交渉のことは心配しなくていいから、自分の職務を全うしなさいって。
かしこまりました。すぐに伝えます。
あ、そうだ、もう一つ。ジェードさんの前でビッグボスって呼ばない方がいいよ。冗談抜きで命がなくなるから。
承知しました。これが伝説の貴重石号。
Oh, look, there's one of the birds. How the fuck am I supposed to get that? Obviously, like, we're gonna be able to go to, like, a lower floor.
これが伝説の貴重石号。
大物はまだ来てないし、階段が始まるまでもう少しかかりそう。カーブ、お腹空いたの？夢の中の食べ物。きっと。カーブ、受け取って。おいしい？それならさ。
ボタンがこんなにたくさん。一つずつ押してたらどんだけかかるの？まさか本当に全部か。
あれ？
危険ですので。
危険？この
そういうわけではありませんが、当事者たちの話によると、そいつはこの幸い犯人の言葉を信じる。
その犯人は？
はい、そいつの能力は大したですが、ハウンド家は簡単に諦めたりはし、とにかくこちらのボタン。
思わぬ収穫。
ご所望のサービスが。
真面目に働けば報いはあるものだね。 わぬ収穫。
カンパその前では気を張りなさい。私の顔にどれまだ遊びたいもん。
こんにちは。
こんにちは。
あなたは貴重石号のオーナーはルーサン家の当主オーディ・アルファルファ様です。一琥珀期前、オーディ様は大金をつぎ込んでこの豪華な飛行艇を作りました。それ以来貴重石号は一度も止まることなく。
へえ、オーディさん本人が。道理で船内の装飾が豪華なわけだ。
ええ、オーディ様の説明を続けます。
そうだ、ずいぶんか。ごめん。
現在無許。そこでオーディ様は調和セレモニーの会場を貴重石号に移して、その機会に貴重石号の再出港を発表しよう。
ファミリーの緊急事態に対処しながら自分の影響力も強められる。まさに一石二鳥。さすが伝説の大物だね。説明してくれてありがとう。もしもし、また人材奨励部？内部監査？今は大事なプロジェクトを抱えてて。ヤリーロの案件なら私の処理方法はちゃんと上層部の決議を経てる。本当に理解できない。君たち、この小さ
うんざりする会話ならそのまま切っちゃえばいいじゃない。あのプロジェクトならうまく処理したと思うわ。氷の星で請求列車に人情を生む。部門にとってはいい商売だった。久しぶりね、エレーナちゃん。ずっと一緒に仕事したかったの。それがこんなに早く叶うなんて。何かトラブル？何でも言って。昔のようにね。
ジェイドさん、お久しぶりですね。あなたと一緒に仕事ができるなんて光栄です。
相変わらず堅苦しいのね。上下関係なんて抜きにしてただの同僚だと思ってちょうだい。余計な継承は省いていいわ。例えばさんとか。
すみませんが、しばらくは無理かと。何しろあなたは私の先輩ですから。
でも今の私たちは同じ10の赤心よ。トパーズ、あなたにはベストを尽くしてもらいたいの。次の交渉ではミスは許されないから。 鋭いあなたのことだから、今回の会談の
これはおそらくオーディが独断で進めたことですね。
正解。でもその方が都合がいいの。
もし事前にオーディと何らかの合意に達して相手の譲れないラインを探ることができれば、今後の
ええ。そして大きな声では言えないもう一つの理由は、ルーさん調和の影響が骨の髄まで浸透していない限り、個人の欲望は常に存在する。幸い影に日向に争っているカンパニーと同じように、五大クランの一つにまとまった心とやらも。
オーク家が失脚した後、オーディ一派はピノコに最大の勢力となりました。継承順位だけでか。
そう。だからこれからの会談は事前に。
はい。交渉の3ステップは、まず聞く、次に探る。
ちゃんと覚えてるじゃない。で
それについては個人的な理解ってやつです。
ご歓談中に失礼いたします。当初の準備が整いまして、戦略投資部の代表の。
さあ、お仕事の時間よ。気合を。私たちの目的はカンパニーが
知的で美しいレディーた。さあさあ、おかけになってください。
思わぬ収穫。
ようこそ。二人のレディーの乗船を心から歓迎しますぞ。こちらの不手際のせいで。
そんなことありませんわ、オーディさん。こうしてお会いできて光栄です。ご存知ないかもしれませんが、オーディアルファルファ伝は戦略投資部に入った社員の必読書なんですよ。
何しろあなたは一人でピノコニーの経済システムを支えるレジェンドですから。
ほっはっは。さすがは戦略投資部の銃の赤心。お二人とも話術に長けているようだ。私は賢い人と話すのが好きでしてね。
ピノコニーの未来。
はっはっは。いかにも。
一発で当ててここに来なかった金髪の若者を例にとってみましょうか。それはカンパニーがアスデナという旨味のある場所を
ビジネス界で10個白期にもわたって積み上げてきた経験と知恵はやはり本物ですね。
Yeah, they keep mentioning Amber Errors, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? You know, like like I was kind of thinking, okay, well, if it's the Aeon of Preservation, like Amber Arrows would be like, you know, like a super long period of time, kind of like in Middle Earth. You know, like there were just like the ages. I think Lord of the Rings was like in the third age or something like that. But like the first age was like way back when we're on the other in the Silmarillion, and then like the second age was when all the Morgoth and Sauron shit was happening, and the Ring, and then the third age was Lord of the Rings time. So it was like thousands of years apart, right? But then they keep mentioning these Amber Eras, and I'm like, oh, okay. So like my first thought frame of reference is, oh, it's something like that, right? Like so in between it's like thousands of years of time, and usually they haven't really like broken that illusion because they've usually only ever referred to it like, oh, it's just been an Amber Age, right? Like, oh, it's just an Amber Age ago, or like one or two, or something like that. But then like this, it's like, so are Amber Arrows like, are they not set in stone for the Qliphoth? Huh? Interesting. Like, are they transient? Like, is like like for instance in Final Fantasy XIV, the Umbral and Astral eras were defined by calamities, right? So it was like, oh, okay, every time there's a calamity, then we go into the Umbral era, and then once we start as a period of downturn, and every Umbral era is started with a calamity, I believe, and then when things start to do all right, and then when they start to go on the up and up, we call it an Astral era. And so obviously it's purely defined by other things, like, oh, there's a calamity. Okay, cool. Now we've transitioned, right? And then when you've recovered, now you transition to the other stage. But even still, like the time between calamities is kind of depending on calamities. But like you would think that this galactic civilization wouldn't really, have something like that. And as Qliphoth, the Aeon of Preservation, you'd think an Amber Era would be a long period of time, or maybe even just a regular period of time, like 1,000 years or something. Because even 100 is not really like that much in terms of a rock or something like that. But then, I mean, it could be that this dude is just that old. But like that is one thing that's kind of stuck in my throat a little bit for the Penacony thing. Is they really are really vague about the timeline of everything. Like, how long ago was Mikhail doing his shit, right? Like, how long ago were the three Trailblazers? Like, how long ago was this a prison planet? How long ago, how long was it that when they broke free? And how long was it until they created the dreamscape and all that shit? Like, they mention times and they make it like, they keep it really vague, but they also are inconsistent with their framing. Because they're like making it seem like, oh yeah, for some of them it's like, oh yeah, like I knew those Trailblazers. We had tons of fun, and they make it seem like the people who are in Penacony right now lived at that, like during that period of time. But like, wasn't that like hundreds of years ago? Like, how are you guys still alive? And I get it's space, right? So we don't actually, like, while we see these people and we're like, oh, they're humans. It's like, well, they're not really humans. They're just humanoid aliens. And we just don't know where they're from and, like, anyone's lifespan. So maybe everyone has a much greater lifespan than anyone would ever think. Like, the only time they've ever given us a real solid timeline for anything, really, was, like, knowing that Jarillo locked up 700 years ago. We knew that the Arbiter shot his bow like 35 years ago. I think there was a war 35 years ago. That's where Yukong lost her friend. I think it was 35, they said. So, like, we know those specific times. But then, like, for Penacony, it was just incredibly vague, because it's like, oh, okay, like, because you'd think it'd take for fucking ever to create the dreamscape. And so it's like, well, first of all, Penacony had to be a prison planet. And then they had to revolt. And then like that's the process. That takes a while to do. And then, then it's like, cool, we've gotten it. And like I wouldn't think their first job is cool, we've revolted, the planet's ours. Now let's make a dreamscape. It's like I don't think that's like the first thought people would ever come to, right? That's something like, oh, after like maybe 200 years, like, okay, cool, we've got everything settled down. We started to build, we started to rebuild, and let's go. Maybe 100 years, right? 100 years after a revolt like that, changing the landscape of the planet to be more hospitable, and then being like, okay, cool, and now let's like do something, right? Do something with it, and then they make the dreamscape. But even then, it's still a bit like the dreamscape has been around for like hundreds of years too. They made it seem like, again, it's super vague about the timeline of any of this, but it's just like it's been hundreds of years, presumably. But then we have like, and like I think even the Trailblazers, like when they were talking about the Trailblazers who had were at Penacony and were looking for word of them. We had mentioned it had been like a long time, although I don't think they said how long ago it was. But then, like every now and then, like there are people who like remember, like personally interacting with these figures that should have been like hundreds of years old, like the Watchmaker and all that shit. It's like I don't know. It's kind of vague, and it's like rubs me the wrong way sometimes because it's just like it's because they're so vague, and like they've said so many things, and some of them seem to contradict each other, but I can't know because I don't really know a timeline. Because, while completely unrealistic, the dreamscape could have been created like 50 years ago, right? And it's just been 50 years like that. But like they've never said it. They've alluded to it being longer, but they never said like, specifically how long ago it was. So if it was 50 years ago, yeah, sure. Like Mikhail could have been, a 20, 30-year-old man, lived 50, created the dreamscape, and then lived for 50 years and then died, and that's where we found him, an old man, right? So it's just like the fact that they don't ever mention that is kind of they're a little more specific because they and it's fine if they're not specific, but like they just keep bringing up things related to time and then duration that just make no sense. And now again, it's like, oh, you've accumulated. So this guy is like 10 Amber Eras. Now, what is an Amber Era? Who knows? Let's say 100 years. Like it's obviously not going to be like short. So even if, and 100 years is still pretty lowballing it, but even if it's 100 years, that means this guy's lived for 1,000 years. So it's like, then wouldn't that kind of suggest that Penacony has been around for even a long time? Because like he's the head of his family. Now, obviously, he could have popped by 50 years ago and became the head of a. Actually, I don't know because they make it seem like, I mean, maybe he lived for a while, got arrested, and he was in prison on Penacony and got out, and. When you got, I mean, it's one of these things where it's just like, yeah, they just keep bringing up time repeatedly without firmly setting an actual timeline for these things, which makes it really hard to get a frame of reference for any of the dates or the relative times they keep saying. And I'd like them to be more clear, like. Or at least inconsistent, because it feels like they're not being consistent sometimes. Now, obviously, like this is literally the first time she said it. This is literally the first time we met the dude. He might, in the next line, say, "Yes, I'm 10,000 years old," and then we're like, "Ah, okay, so Amber Era equals 1,000 years, got it." And he, obviously, he could have lived for a long. He could be just a long-lived race, and he got arrested, and that's why he was in Penacony and it was like 600 years ago. And maybe he's just one of the few long-lived races that are still around. And maybe, who knows even like anyone else's lifespan. So maybe everyone in this universe, in this world, are just long. I mean, I don't know. Because they have like the actual long-lived race. It's like, obviously we can't all be long-lived. And like the dragons are essentially immortal through reincarnation, but the Foxians were like, I forget if they specify how long their lifespan is. Longer than humans. But still mortal in a way. So yeah, like I'd love if they were more clear. The problem is it's just that they're not. Like I doubt they ever will be intentionally, because it's like it's not that important. Like knowing specifically when these things happened, and if they were going to ever bring it up, they would have brought it up in the previous patches. So it's like, yeah, at this point it's too late. Like. unless they it's the kind of thing where they would offhandedly say it, right? Where Alfalfa would be like, well, I remember back in my day, 600 years ago, we broke out of prison and I helped everyone, like, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, cool. Now we know it's exactly, 600 years ago was when the prison break happened. I mean, he has the ears, kinda. They're not the same ears as the Luofu, but maybe it's a different type. Maybe it's a different long-lived species. I mean, Luofu had more like elves. And obviously, with a beard like that and his short stature, dwarf is the first thing that comes to mind. Oh, wait. Oh, he's the pom-pom. He's a Pepeshi. Maybe the Pepeshi are just super long-lived. I can't remember if they ever mentioned their lifespan when talking about them. I'm gonna pull on Jade when her banner comes up.
では、単刀直入に言いましょう。今回正式な会談の前に、お二人と会うここで手を引けば、あなたたちも対面を保てる。そして、大きな交渉のテーブルで、カンパニーの面目を失うこともない。
P45 の幹部が無境の中で襲撃され、命を落としかけた以上、カンパニーとしてはそれを見過ごすことはできません。さらに、調和セレモニー期間中の騒動。一般人のピノコニーに対する信用は、かつてないほどまでに下がっています。
Wow, that's some balls. Obviously, the P45 is Aventurine, I assume they're referring to. It's like, oh, he was attacked and nearly killed. It's like, oh, okay, well, I kind of remember that, and I also kind of remember him taking over their theme park and then trying to attack the dreamscape as a whole. So, like he was the one who instigated it. I always kind of hated this, right? The idea that the instigator does something and gets fucked. Like, either like dies or just gets injured, and then his buddies and friends are like, how dare you do this do this, like, how dare you do this, he's my friend, I'm gonna go, and then they go on a quest for revenge, and it's like, dude, fuck off. Like, that guy was the one who instigated the problem. He fucked around and he found out. You can't get there's no justification behind your bullshit. Like, he was the aggressor, we were performing self-defense. Like, him dying is the result of his own actions. Don't get it twisted and think, oh well, like, I'm gonna just, I'm gonna get mad. Like, no, like, he got attacked and nearly killed. Yeah, well, he deserved it. Like, that's what you get. It's not like you can't simply ignore it. It's like you can't simply ignore the incident you caused. And of course, like, that's not just this case. Like, I've seen other things like that where you just get where you get these assholes who like invade a country, and then, or like, it's like in war too, right? Like, you see this in war where it's like, oh, okay, these guys are fighting a war. Oh no, your buddy got killed, right? And you're like, oh my god, the other side is the enemy. They killed my buddy. I'm gonna go on a quest for vengeance, completely forgetting the fact that you're the invading force, right? Like, you're the one invading these people's homes. They're attacking back, and then you get self-righteous about like that. You're like, yeah, you're completely forgetting the part where you started it, and are now like clearing the slate. It's like, oh, okay, the slate is clear. We're gonna start from right now. We're gonna completely ignore all the wrongs I did before. You did this wrong thing to me, therefore you're at fault. You're wrong, and I'm gonna go after you. It's like, no. Like, you can't. That's not how it works. Like, you did all these bad things before. That cancels out. Two wrongs don't make a right, but they do make a neutral. They cancel each other out. So it's shit like that. Like, I don't like that. I mean, I get it, right? Obviously, you don't give a shit. It's like, oh yeah, my buddy got killed from there. I mean, we could assume that they weren't aware of the circumstances of it, and they were just like, "Oh no, we just heard our friend got almost killed here," and weren't aware that he was the one who, attacked Penacony and its citizens or guests or whatever. I mean, obviously they are aware, but like you could, even if you assume that, like, yeah. So what are you gonna say? Is he gonna mention the fact that? Yeah, but like that's the problem. Is like she makes this stupid claim, right? That Adventurine was like that they're in the right. They're on defense. They're claiming, oh, our guy was attacked. Like us being here is a matter of self defense. But it's like, well, why didn't this old dude be like, well, actually, no, fuck off. Like you guys were the aggressors in the situation. He broke the rules of Penacony, so he got almost killed. It's also like you could also bring up the fact that he almost got killed by someone who's not associated with us whatsoever. Because Acheron was the one who almost killed him, and she's clearly has nothing to do with Penacony. So it's like saying, "Hey, Aventurine." I mean, I get you could make the claim, "Oh, well, Aventurine was here and he almost got killed. What's with your security?" But like at the same time, it's just like, yeah, but he was also attacked. Aventurine was the one who attacked her, right? You could claim like that huge like coin attack thing he was doing is like, yeah, like that would injure anybody. So yeah, not surprisingly, when he was about to injure a huge crowd of people, one of the people from the crowd, performed self-defense and almost killed him. So again, it's just like, yeah. So like the only claim, of course, is a lack of security, right? You're like, yeah. I mean, and they could be really ballsy and be like, well, actually, like the fact that you even let Adventurine be a complete piece of shit is your own fault. It's not our responsibility. You guys are responsible to stop him from being a piece of shit. You're also responsible from stopping other people performing self-defense against him. So it's like, I get it to some degree, but again, it's the kind of thing where it's like, sorry, but I think you waive your right to, complain when you break the law of that location. Like, oh, he broke the law. Oh, he almost died for it. It's like, well, yeah, it's not. We don't give a shit about people who break the law. Like, if he almost died, that sucks for him. But like he gets what he fucking deserves. So I'm surprised he didn't bring that up, right? Like, because essentially by not even mentioning it, not even addressing those claims, you could argue that he's just ignoring them, but they also kind of does, he's implicitly validating her claim. Like, it's not always the case, obviously, but like the fact is she makes this claim and he's not refuting it at all, and he's just glossing over it, right? Why would they even need the IPC? Like, I get the, like... I don't even know what that means. Like, obviously going public is like going public as a company, but like what? Like do the people own stock and stuff? Like, is the IPC? I mean, the IPC is like a huge business, but can you like own stock in the business? Is there a universal stock market here? What does it mean to go public? Obviously, it's already public. People can stop by and be a guest. Yeah, like a shareholder, but like how? How do you sell stock? So there has to be some sort of galactic market then. But like, well, you just gonna sell a piece of paper saying, yeah, you own a piece of stock? Like, how is that regulated?
私の改革を阻んでいた最大の障害も消え去りました。ルーサン家は美しい夢の楽園の決算書を全宇宙に公開します。たとえ災
I also kind of don't get it. It's like he's like, oh, cool. Like now that they're gone, it's like sure, like that was the other. The Oak family was powerful, got it. But like, there's 5 families, so what about the other 3, right? Like, now maybe he means just because he's convinced the other 3. Like, maybe the Bloodhound gang can just be neutral, and the other 2 are already on his side. But he hasn't mentioned them at all. The fact that like he's there by himself and like none of the other families are trying to do anything is kind of weird. Like, if he has their support, then why aren't they there?
ピンチはチャンスでもある。あなたはずっと待っていたのですね。ピノコニー、この機会を利用してピノコニーが南極を乗り越えられたとしたら、後からカンパニーが
I also don't get it. Like, okay, so you don't want to go to the IPC. We're just going to go public. It's like, okay, but when then IPC isn't like wouldn't. I mean, IPC is a pretty big company. Wouldn't the IPC have? Wouldn't it be one of the richest entities in the universe? Couldn't it just buy out Penacony? Couldn't it just like say, oh, okay, Penacony's like, you want to go through us? Or you want to go public directly? Fine, sure. We'll just buy 51% of your stock, and we'll own you outright. Then, sure, they'd obviously have to spend, money versus maybe doing some sort of backdoor deal to get it. But like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the. Because, like, I don't know how much that would end up costing, but, like, still, like, if you go public, then they can just buy you guys out properly.
ジェイドさん、あなたは本当に私の伝記を熟読しているようだ。では、次の一手はどうすればいいのか。
ここまで膨大な情報となると消化するのに。オーディさん、会談の前半戦はここまでにしましょう。少しの間、トパーズと2人で協議させてください。その後改めてカンパニーを代表して。
もちろん構いません。
ルーサン家がカンパニーと会談。
あのカンパニーの使者からの情報だ。彼は形式的なまあ無理もないだろう。今のピノコニーはかつての辺境の監獄の腐敗に敵を抱えるよりも一歩引いてカンパニーを交渉。
請求列車に仲裁を頼んでくるのも納得だな。
俺は調和が完全なる被害者だとは思わない。どんな理由であれ彼らは事態をファミリーかカンパニーのどちらかが完全にピノコニーの実権を握ることになれば、ここはまた道楽にまみれた美しい夢に戻るだろう。そうなれば過去の七死人の努力はまたしても水の泡になってしまう。あ、来たか。よく休めたか。
ぐっすり寝ていたから邪魔しないでおいたぞ。彼女は列車の代表として先にエ
ナの夢がついえた後、モントール
全ての陰謀の首謀者は全夢の主のゴフェルとされていたが、俺たちが彼には裁判が待っている。それ以上のことは。
結局一般の人は調和セレモニーは悪の勢力に襲撃されて事実とは違うけど、
Oh, I see. The Crow dude was one of the heads of the family. So that's the Wood family, then the Oak. Oh, I see. So I guess, yeah, if Bloodhound stays neutral or just acts like, a puppet, because, like, I don't know, I mean, they're in charge of security, but it doesn't really seem like they ever, like, make themselves known. So I guess if 2 of the heads are gone, and then it's just the 3, I guess that guy, and if maybe Bloodhound stays neutral and just only cares about maintaining the status quo and security of Penacony, then he would only need to convince one other the nightingale or whatever that whatever the bird family was called again. Maybe that's why. No, no one else was there. But still, you'd think at least he'd get the other two families to just be there. If he's already said that, yeah, we're all good and we're able to go ahead with this plan, presumably he should have some sort of agreement with the other people. Unless he just means that, oh, without the two big obstacles who would say no, I can bulldoze over these other guys who are neutral and or don't give a shit.
開拓の輝きを3倍あんたたちに敬意を表してねまた会えて嬉しいよでも再会の後にはお別れが待ってるかもしれない
She's pretty hot.
請求列車はいつピノコニーを離れる予定
I want to know what's with the little halo thing? Like, it seems to be a racial trait, like, because Robin has it, but, like, Robin also has the bird thing, too. So, is the halo... Is that just, like, an accessory, or is it actually part of their race? Like, their race has this... Like, each person has their own halo, and that's just part of it? And then maybe only some of them have the bird features, and... Or maybe like, older... maybe it's atavism, so maybe some of their ancestors had, maybe all of their ancestors had wings, but then it's phased out in some people and only presents itself every now and then. I forget if they've ever mentioned what race they are, or any of their races. Really, I don't think they've ever named races for any of the aliens we've met, other than the Pepeshi. Pepeshi was named.
もうしばらくはいるつもりだ。まあ、それほど。
じゃあ、これが最後のお別れになるかもしれないってこと？音楽？雰囲気？ああ、特別なこの価値観に眠る七死人。
ここに来る途中で変なことがあったんだ。開けてみたらボタンが入ってて、裏にこれを押せばピノコニーが吹き飛ぶ。押すわけないじゃん。誰が押すの？振り返ったらもうその人はいなくてさ、仕方ピノコニーの未来がピノコニーの
開拓の旅で乗客全員が一緒に列車から降りることはめったにないが、列車が次々と無数の駅をたどっていく夢を見た。乗車してくるもの、それが俺の心の奥底にある願いなのかもしれない。車掌がいるからしばらくは問題ない。だが早く戻って。アーカイブには関連する記録がないから、これは俺の推測だが、秩序のリスクは最初から調和の中に潜んでいた。それがファミリー内部の問題だったんだろう。 しかし今、その秘密は前に言ったように開拓。
今回の開拓の旅は危険が多かったが、大地を思う鳥と空に憧れる鳥。ロビンさんは、だが調和による懲罰は避けられない。彼を待ち受けているの。ファミリーがピノコニーに地盤を築いて以来、秩序の残党はずっとオーク家を隠れ蓑として潜伏していた。そしてそれがファミリーの言い分だ。まあファミリーが本当に最初からアベンチュリンさんのしたことは、結果としてカンパニーが交渉のテーブルにつく権利を得ることにつながる。ピノコニーが昔と同じ鉄を踏まないようにするためにも、カンパニーは請求列車にとって交渉のテーブルでは。
Well, it's former way. The order? Like, the order's gone. I don't think we have to worry about it returning to older ways. Unless they mean former ways in the sense of a prison planet. But, like, wasn't the IPC the one who made it a prison planet?
信じられないかもしれないが、果てしない夢の中で俺は故郷に戻り、ずっと離れ離れになっていた友人と再会することができた。
Okay, yeah, that is really interesting. So obviously, if you've ever played Honkai Impact 3rd, you are aware that Welt is quite literally this guy. This guy exists exactly like this in that game. Named the exact same thing. And so obviously people are like, oh my god, it's the same person. And like anytime Raiden Mei appears in other iterations of the game, like when Raiden Shogun appeared, well, she looked very much like Raiden Mei. Now, obviously, Raiden Mei is just, you know, a long black-haired Asian, well, purple hair, you know, Asian who, I mean, because of the Raiden name, often has thunder-like abilities. So yeah, like it's not a crazy thing. It's not a crazy thing. It's not the first time it's happened in other anime as well. Like it's not crazy for a thunder being to be called Raiden. Like Mortal Kombat had Raiden. And it's like, yeah, what's God of Thunder? It's like it's a very Japanesey, very common Japanese thing. So, and Raiden Mei is obviously a Japanese name. So she was always kind of like Japanese style. But obviously, yeah, when we got Raiden Shogun, it was like, oh, cool, it's the Raiden Mei of Genshin. And then when Acheron appeared, in fact, there was even a leak about Acheron. Supposedly, she was actually going to be a Lightning Hunt character. Way back when, like in 1.0 or like 1.1, there was like this massive leak that was just like, here's all the characters that are going to come out over like the next few years. Well, maybe like it had like 20 characters or so, but like it had Scrollium. It had a Thunder thing. Supposedly going to be Raiden Mei. They had pre-guessed a bunch of the other characters too. Obviously, some of them like had names and paths and stuff, but like we didn't know them because we hadn't met them because the game had just started. So like we had no context, and that was fine, right? So that didn't really matter. But like even then, there was the thought, oh shit, there's going to be a Raiden Mei, and then Acheron appeared, right? And of course she looks very much like Raiden Mei. Also Thunder and has a humongous sword. And in the Hersher of Thunder, Raiden Mei's Hersher of Thunder form, in Honkai Impact 3rd, she has this kind of humongous sword that's held by these like, I don't know, like ghost samurai body parts. Like it's held by like a floating hand, but it's this humongous fucking sword, and she uses that to fight, and has horns. And so that's why it's like, oh, Acheron, yeah, well, in her little trailer shit, she had horns, just like Raiden Mei does when she's in her Hersher of Thunder form. She also has a humongous sword, just like that, too. And then, of course, we saw the 2.2, and they were like, oh, yeah, my name's Raiden Mei. Raiden something or other Mei. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, like another homage. But really, like, despite similar names and themes, they've been different characters, right? Welt, though, is, like, the same person, supposedly. Obviously, we have not gotten literal confirmation. He hasn't says, I'm from the world of Honkai Impact 3rd. Because I don't even know if we know the name of their planet. Like, we'd have to have him, like, mention other characters by name. Like, he knew. And, like, in Himiko is another, there was a Himiko in Honkai Impact 3rd. Red hair. red hair, red long-haired adult, who died fairly early on. So that's why her appearing in this was like, oh wow, she's back, hooray! That's nice. And so people get antsy when there's the possibility of her dying again, because her death was pretty emotionally scarring and mostly impactful in the Honkai Impact Third game. It was a pretty good cutscene. I'd recommend just googling the cutscene, but it was pretty epic. Either way, but Welt, it has the same name, has the exact same appearance, and in his lore, when talking to him, he actually does mention that he's just like popped into existence and he's like looking for his way home. And so there's just been a bunch of clues so far where he's alluded to things that line up with what happened in Honkai Impact Third. Right? So like he's talked about wanting to go home. He's there's like he popped into existence, he wanted to go home. I think he might have mentioned what his home was like. He kind of like drew some similarities, like felt more familiar with certain characters. Like I think he might have said Himiko felt familiar or something like that. But obviously, the interesting thing, of course, is that here he is in that dream, returns home, where we reunited with long lost friends, and for some reason, Acheron resurfaces his mind. Well, Acheron is very, very, very similar to Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact Third. Another reason why this is kind of tying him to that, to allude, to imply that this is actually the same character, not just a reimagining of that character. Like, because you could say Raiden Mei, Acheron is not really the same character. It's a different character, but they are similar, and these similarities are intentional because they're the creator of all of those games are the same person, Mihoyo. So they're just intentionally doing this to say, hey, look, we've made another similar character. Hey, we'll name them the same thing, give them similar abilities and powers, and similar theme, as it were, thematically the same. Whereas this one is like, nope, it's flat out the same character. And here's a bunch of like little bits of hints along the way to kind of imply that yes, this is actually that guy. So that is interesting.
その後、自分の記憶に彼女の結末が残っていないことに気づいて、俺は辛い事実を悟った。
That is interesting. It's kind of vague. I assume the her is Kiana, because Kiana became the Hersher of Finality and supposedly cured Honkai from their world. So I assume what he is meaning is that because I went back to that world, but it hadn't been fixed by Kiana yet, or it was like it hadn't been fixed. And so he's like, oh, well, the second I got there and I realized Kiana had, like, fixed the Honkai problem, I knew that this was, not real, because you were not, it's hard to say, obviously, because, like, who's the her, who's the conclusion? Like, it could be any person's conclusion, right? It could be like, oh, yeah, I was talking to the Baranya of that world, and, what she thought about being the Hersher reason, like I was, and her conclusion was, or some other aspect of the story. I assume it's that because, like, that story is kind of wrapped up. So maybe that's what he's implying. But the fact of the matter is like, the fact that he references Acheron, which is obviously stylized after Raiden Mei, and she sounds familiar, and saying that right after he went back to his home world, they've definitely left enough breadcrumbs to imply that, which is pretty cool. So I don't think they'll ever like flat out ever say it, right? Like it'd be cool if like maybe like we ask him something and then he says, oh yeah, like he actually names one of them, like by their Honkai name, because obviously he could have said, I met Raiden Mei, instead of I met someone who reminded me of Acheron, or I went back to my home world and for some reason Acheron was on my mind, You know, he could have said, "Yeah, I write Raiden May," you know, or an iteration of Raiden May who you know as Acheron. Yeah. I don't ever be that explicit. I mean, maybe at the end, maybe at the very, very end, he'll actually he'll leave. Like, I mean, they could have also a story arc where Welt leaves us. You know, like we go to some world and he's able to reconnect. He's able to reconnect with his home world. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave. And then he walks into a portal, and through the portal we can see Kiana and Raiden May and not Himiko. She's dead. I guess the other Bronya. That'd be actually interesting because there's a few iterations of Bronya. I mean, most of the Bronyas in Honkai Impact Third are the little ones, the Silver Wolf versions, Silver Wolf body types. So a bunch of little tiny children. And there is actually one Bronya that is essentially Bronya from Honkai Impact Third. It's the Silverwing Bronya, the adult Bronya, because there was this one game mode, kind of. Actually, it's still even part of the story because they incorporated the second half of it as part of the story of the game. But essentially, it was like, oh yeah, this is another Honkai Odyssey thing where it was like, oh, you're actually the only time you can ever play as a male character because you get this male character, and they actually changed the combat style slightly, and now you can jump, and but it's set like 10 years in the future or something. So you see an adult May. Like Raiden May was always kind of 16 to 18 or somewhere around there. And so it's 10 years in the future. So you actually see an adult Raiden. You see a more adult Bronya. So it was interesting. And then you can actually play as a male character. And then you get the little buddy stuff issue. And then they did a part 2 of that, continuing in that futurescape. So you actually did see those, although most of the Bronya skins in Honkai Impact Third were her where she looks like a 12 or 14-year-old girl, much like Silverwolf. In fact, there is even a skin Haxor Bunny that is basically Silverwolf, just in that game, because not surprisingly from her name, she is a hacker. So yeah, so she looks slightly different, but has that similar punk aesthetic.
さあ、この前店で会ったきり、ギャラガーには会ってないんだ。思い返してみると、彼はいつもこのカウンターで私たちただ今は少し予感がするんだ。始める前にそうじゃあ、あんたの言う通りにしようか。作るドリンクについてはだいたい考えてあるの。苦いのにするか、甘いのにするか。溺れる甘さ。
I like sweet stuff.
作るのが難しいカクテルの一つ。逆に正しい比率悪くない選択だね。
Oh, cool. Let's get a huge thing. I have to. Oh, it's forcing me. Boo. Ah, okay. So the order actually matters. Darn. I mean, I saw it broke the second I put this in, so.
「言葉はいつも物足りない。もし過去の出来事に終止符を打ちたいなら、このバーでカクテルを作るのが一番いい方法だよ。 全ての思い出と感じ。よし、地下に眠る七死人。自由の精神は外の世界に受け入れ。いつの日か乾杯。もう行くの？じゃあこの最後のドリンクは特別に多めに作ったの。
ありがとう。きっと
もしギャラガーに会えたら。
Wait, isn't this the dream? What the fuck's the point of me taking this with me? Like, I'm in the dream. Like,
きっと気に入ると思う。さあ、おしゃべりはここまで。請求列車もピノコ。さあ、
オーディ、本当に厄介ですね。ピノコに存亡の危機に。
ええ、なかなか度胸があるわね。でも勝利の天秤はまだどちらにも傾いていないわ。
はい、あちらは承諾してくれました。
その方が好都合だわ。飴は無知の後に出すべきだもの。
今回は交換理論の段階が省略されそうですね。
貪欲な商人が相手なんだから仕方ないでしょ。ところで少し気になって。
信用力と利益率が高く将来性もある。今回の技を。
ええ、そうね。でもあなたの感覚からしたら
そうですね。
あなたは彼を信頼しているものね。私たちにとっては命にも等しい。
that was the other thing I never really understood at all. Like, the cornerstone thing, right? The gem that Aventurine, the gem, like they keep saying that, like, oh my god, these things are so important. Like, oh wow, they're so ridiculously important. But like, how? Why? Like, you just said they're like, I would get it if it was just like, oh, okay, they're just really expensive, right? Like, oh, we can sell them for a lot. Like, they're just very, very valuable, or they represent our status. But then, of course, Aventurine, I think he used his when he like fought us. Like when he like did his battle against us as part of the story. I thought he used it, so like it like empowered him somehow. So maybe it's something like it's a shard of Qiploth's power, but like even still, sure, like that makes it valuable. It makes it very, very useful. But like something as precious as life itself, like what? Like why? Like sure, it's powerful and useful and very valuable, but like as precious as life itself, I don't think so. Like it just it feels like there's something more to these cornerstones, but like they just brought them out and just said, oh, by the way, these things are valuable. Don't ask any questions. Goodbye. Like, and just moved on. And we're just like, yeah, we're just supposed to accept that they're valuable. But like, they just don't have to explain what the fuck they are. Like, I want to know what the hell they are. Like, even if you're just saying like it's a simple answer, right? Like, if it's something like, it is a fraction of Qiploth's power. It's something that like, when you're at a certain like level, or maybe like all these like, I forgot what the little group was called, like the Gemstone Gang or whatever. Whatever their group are. Like maybe when you got to that level or get as part of that group, you like resonate with Qiploth and then he hands you this thing. So maybe it's tied to your life force, and so like losing it would actually affect you negatively, like, or selling it. So it's like, you know, something like that. I fine. You could like mention that. You could offhandedly say, you know. Maybe not offhandedly, but, you know, like, Ratio was there with Aventurine as part of that story. Like, when he was helping him, and doing all that shit, he could have offhandedly said like what it was, right? He could say, "I can't believe you would risk, this thing, the embodiment of Qliphoth's power tied to your life force, like that, on a gamble like this, right?" He could have said that. He could have just gave a quick, brief, one-sentence summary of what the fuck these cornerstones are, because they just keep bringing them up with just the addendum of, "Oh yes, these are very important. We're not going to tell you why." And what, yeah. I don't like that. Like, it feels like it's meaningless. Now, maybe there is more meaning. And, of course, obviously, like, Jade's here now. So, like, obviously we're going to see more of their entire group. And so they might, at some point later, talk about how important they are. Like, maybe Jade herself is going to become a boss. I'm going to fight her. And she'll, like, use her cornerstone and describe, like, now that I have Qliphoth's power embodied, I blah, blah, blah. Because, like, I think that's kind of what Aventurine did. Like, when he used his cornerstone, he, like, mentioned something about Qliphoth. So, I don't know. Maybe in the next instance they'll actually go over and... Yeah, and then it's like, oh yeah, with her cornerstone, she can see all the desires, but it's like, what? It's just like, I mean, maybe it's something like that. Like maybe the cornerstones are a manifestation of their soul, perhaps. Like maybe it's not that they're given a stone by Qliphoth, but maybe Qliphoth is able to like extract a portion of their soul and like crystallize it, and that's what their cornerstone is. It's just, and like in that process makes you more strong. Like it allows you to like, I don't know, store power, or like, I don't know, like generate more or something, whatever, right? Maybe that's it. So maybe that's why with a portion of her soul in here, she can use her powers. It's just so weird that you're just like, yeah. Because like she's willing to do this, but it's like, okay, but like, why does Jade's cornerstone allow her to do something, right? Like, you brought her cornerstone in, and now she can see the desires of people. But like, was Topaz's or Adventurine's stone, did that do anything? No. Like, it wasn't like, oh shit, we had to sneak it in so that we could do something. It was like, no, here's our stone. It doesn't do anything. We're just going to show it and use it as betting chip, and it doesn't really mean anything and matter at all. But then for hers, apparently, it matters because it actually gives her, it like, allows her to use power or something. It's so weird. It's just kind of like one of these MacGuffins that they're just like, yeah, we're just not going to like properly explain these things because like, fuck it, we're just going to do whatever. We're just going to like not explain it so we can just like say whatever the fuck we want. Like, I think it's needlessly vague, right? It's fine to be vague about what they're trying to do, but like, you could tell us what the fuck these stones do. Like, isn't the stone done? Like, aren't they done with it at this point? Like, we don't need mystery around the stones. Like, they could have wrapped that up at the end of the last chapter. But even still, they could have, like, and that's the thing. If it was just like, hey, these stones are the crystallized, like are a portion of our crystallized soul. Like these stones are a portion of our soul crystallized and imbued with Qliphoth's power. That's it. That's all you needed to do. You could have revealed that in 2.2. It wouldn't affect shit, right? It wouldn't change anything. But now we at least know. Oh shit, these are really important. Like they're a portion of their soul. They don't want to lose a portion of their soul. Like, and it's also an incredibly big power source. Like they'll be weakened. Cool. Now we know why they're important. Now we know why the stakes are so high. Now we know why they consider them so valuable to themselves and why other people would as well, right? And that's all you need. Like, sure, like this whole apparently her stone allows her to see the desires of people. Like, presumably that's an extension of her power personally. So like, cool. But like, you could have like let us know that. Like not like about her power. Like you could have told us what the stones did, or what the stones represented, or what the stones were made out of. Like, what's so special about the stones in general, and left her specific, use of the stone out of it. So at least we know what they are, and then when they mention all these things, we're like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because like we know that, like they're an embodiment of your soul, so you must be able to use your powers through it as a medium. You know, we wouldn't question it. But because we have no fucking clue what the things are, it's just confusing. Other than the fact that they just keep browbeating, like beating us over the head, saying, yes, they're important. Yes, they're important. Oh, by the way, did we tell you? Do I get a buff? No, it's not a buff. It's like, yeah, we're just gonna keep telling you they're important without really explaining why. Oh, alright, let's see this way. That's cool, though, the little snake pattern. Give me a drink. I want a drink. Give me a drink. Give me a drink. Give me a drink. Man, the service here is horrible. Oh, I think this woman might be an alcoholic. She has her drink and then 6 more.
ね。こんにちは、ロビンさん。ここであなたに会えると。
ジェイドさん、こんにちは。調和セレモニーの開会式が基調赤号で行われることになったから、少し早めに来て、あなたはオーディさんとは。
ちょうど今から会いに行くところなの。
残念ながら、私は会ったことがないの。た だオーク家の前当主から少しだけ評判を聞いたことがあるわ。
じゃああなたは宴の星の未来はどうなると思う？
一度は止まった貴重石号が調和は新しい永遠の盟友も。
私もあな
ええ、ジェイドさん。
はっ待たせたわね、オーディさん。トパーズには他の任務があるの。
私の気のせいでしょうか。
後輩の前ではいい手本を見せないといけないもの。今なら腹を割って話せるわ。オーディ、知ってるかしら？
面白い。腹を割って話すですか。いいでしょ。
残念だけど、私はチェックメイトしてから駒を第2に、あなたはカンパニーのピノコニーへの進出を止め。
See, and that's kind of fucked up if you think about it, right? So you can't sidestep the IPC and go public. It's like, why? Like, why does the IPC get to dictate who can go public or not? Like it's fucked up to think about it, right? Like it's one thing. It's like, oh, okay, we're gonna go public. It's like, it's fine if a company's like, oh, because essentially what they're kind of saying is like, hey, we're propositioning a merger, right? We're gonna buy out your company, or you're gonna merge, and you'll be, we'll be one big company. And they're like, no, actually, I think I'm gonna go public instead. And and they're like, no, sorry, you can't do that. You can't not merge with us. It's like, yeah, it's incredibly heavy-handed. Now, again, it's also because they haven't really explained the exact scope of the IPC. Like, they've kind of mentioned kind of what they do, but they haven't and they say they're constantly expanding, but the fact that they're constantly expanding, the fact that they're able to, bring Jarilla into the fold, the fact that, in Tobas's past, they did, they took over her planet, same for Aventurines? Either way, it seems like they are expanding and bringing other planets into the fold, but in that case, but it does also imply that obviously it doesn't extend, this organization doesn't extend throughout the entire universe, because it doesn't, it might expand to a lot of parts of it, but obviously if they're still expanding, then some parts don't exist. So I do, sure, they can't stop them from entering, but okay, and yeah, that's just kind of fucked up. Yeah, we'll keep tearing down and rebuild until Osnonis gets used to the IPC's ways again. It's like, okay, but are you saying that you're going to turn it back into a prison planet? Is that what you're trying to say? Weren't you the guys who did that in the first place? Also, obviously, this is a threat, right? We get it, right? She's playing hardball, but it's still kind of fucked up that this can happen, right? This is how they get away with it. I mean, that's kind of how they got away with it on Jarilla too, because it's just they're like, yeah, if you don't do it our way, then we'll just kind of take over your country take over your planet by force, because because you owe us a lot of money, and we're just going to repossess your entire planet because of it. And it's just, yeah, it's incredibly heavy-handed. Obviously, it's a little bullshit, especially when he's like, oh, we just want to go public. It's like, oh, you can't. IPC won't let you. It's like, why do you have the right to do that, right? Sure, all this bullshit put you on the seat of the negotiating table, but if it's the negotiating table, if they're saying no, we're not going to do this, your first thing is to resort to a threat, right? Which is it's not really a negotiation table then, really. And that's kind of why I didn't like the IPC in Jarilla too, because because of how much of they're setting themselves up to look like such pieces of shit, right? You have Aventurine, who is a piece of shit, right? Acting on the behalf of these people. You have Rucker Ratio, who's kind of an asshole as well. And now you have her. who's just giving all these veiled threats about this stuff. Now, maybe this is just she's just playing hardball, but like I don't doubt that she's a little. I mean, have you seen her kit? Like all these whips and contracts and shit. Yeah, she's obviously very domineering. So it's just like the IPC has consistently set itself up as complete assholes. Because like even in Orm Alley, they were just complete dicks. So it's just like, yeah, every time we interact with them, they're just kind of pieces of shit. Like they're just complete assholes. They don't give a shit about anything. They're just like, fuck everybody else. We're just going to make money and screw everyone else in the process. Obviously, it doesn't really set themselves up to be that sympathetic. And like Topaz, it just seems nice, but she still is going along and doing all these, things. And the fact that she trusted Venturine shows that she's, not as nice as she seems or way too nice. Maybe she's way too trusting because Venturine is a complete piece of shit. Like if you don't realize he's a complete piece of shit and stay far away from him, then you're a really poor character or a complete like either you have a poor character yourself or
あなたが言ったことそっくりそのまま返させてもらうわ。あなた
猫をかぶったお嬢さん。
オーディさん、忘れないで。カンパニーは宇宙で最も大きな宣伝メディアを持って、あなたがピノコニーの株式公開の情報を流した次の瞬、ファミリーによるピノコニーの保護は無効となった。全銀河がピノコニーに注目している時に、この一つのメッセージだけで24システム時間以内に。
本当にそんなこと。
私の無知は長いから。
Yeah, and again, another threat. Like, first of all, it was like, yeah, we're just gonna come in and like rebuild and destroy your place because fuck you guys. We're gonna beat you down until you just start giving up. And then it's like, oh, and by the way, if you like, your plan will not succeed because we'll just spread fucking lies. Like, we'll just lie to the entire universe because fuck you again. It's just like, yeah, it's just, yeah, they're just.
でもその愚かな上場計画を中止するならカンパニー私たちにもアスデナの盟友が必要なの。カンパニーはピノコニーの資金調達を援助することができる。
30%。
それこそが全てのポイントなのよね。答えは
Yeah, it just hinges on self-awareness and mutual respect. Mutual respect to know that we're complete assholes and we'll do any underhanded bullshit to get you to do what we want, and you can't do shit about it. Mutual respect.
オーディさん、あなたは賢い。わざわざこんなほどほどにしておいた方がお互いのためだけれど。それでもまだ足りないと思うなら、それは大方、宴の星の影響力をさらに拡大させ、より多くの客を呼び込んでお金を使わせるという、ピノコニー上場のもう一つの目的があるからでしょ?
I thought I popped all those balloons. Wait, and a treasure chest. I thought I explored everything.
もちろん、その要求にも対応できる解決策を用意しているわ。
いいでしょう。カンパニーの誠意は分かりました。ただ、アイオーンを信仰
続けてちょうだい。
私が子供だった頃、大人たちから古代琥珀機の話を聞きました。その昔、秩序と孫悟はとても近しい関係だった。カンパニーは琥珀の王の信徒でありながら、
その答えはあなたが思っているより単純かもしれないわ。信用体系に新たな世界が加わるたびに、宇宙平和の事業は一歩ずつ前へと進む。そうして全ての星の発展は帳簿に記録され、明確なものとなり、あらゆる概念は定義され、評価され、交換され、流通する。その中心にあるものこそ、
そしてカンパニーは全てを
私たちは永遠の孫悟を築きたいだけよ。一つの宇宙に二つの秩序は。
それでは教えていただけますかな。
それじゃあさっきの話を続けます。ご足労感謝するわ、姫子さん。オーディさん、こちらはピノコニーの未来の株主の一人、
オーディ・アルファルファさん。
やはり
提案の大まかな内容については皆さんすでに理解されていますよね。予定通りこの融資が終わったら、そしてそのうちの 5% を請求列車に譲渡した後、姫子さんを独立取締。
まだ何も決まってないけれど、ここに七死人は名声や利益のために旅に出るわけじゃない。乗員全員の評決を取って請求列車はピノコニーの再建事業に協力すること。もちろん全ての協力は、それはピノコニーが貫く調和の道が。
I don't know. I don't really like that. Like, it seems like it was too easy. Like, he just kind of gave up too easily. Like, all she did was threaten them. Like, right? Oh, we can help you and do all these things. It's like, yeah, well, you were going to do these things anyway, right? Like, the whole point of you taking over in the first place was to do all these things. So you're just like, yes, we're going to do the things that we'd be doing anyway, and all you have to do is give away 30% of your, of your shares, which is like, what? Like, you only have shares once you go public. I don't think a private company has stock. So why would they have equity shares, right? Like, no, I don't know. Like, I don't like play the stock market. Maybe I'm wrong, but like, I thought shares like that, I thought equity shares were something that only happened once you go public. Either way, that's beside the point. The point is that like he just kind of gave up too easily, and all she did was threaten him. And she's like, oh, well, yeah, like, we just got to have mutual respect. And then she says mutual respect, and then immediately proceeds to threaten him again. Right? Like, it's just like, what? What mutual respect is there? You came in and are threatening him, saying, yeah, we're going to come in and fuck things up because you can't stop us. And if you try to go public, then we'll just spread malicious lies and slander you until your fucking country goes out of business. And it's just like, oh, okay. And, it's like you're just capitulating to terrorists at this point. Which is just like, it just, I don't like it, obviously, because I'm just like, come on. Have a backbone. So, I don't know, like, maybe he had a bottom line. Maybe he was just like, okay, well, as long as they don't ask for, 35% or more, ask for more than a third of the fit, we're willing. Because, obviously they said they're going to invest their capital, so it's like, okay, sure, like maybe you do need money that much, and so I think this is much easier. How? What's this one glowing? Anyway, so obviously we don't know what he was thinking, but yeah, like it just feels weird that he's just like, oh, okay, well, you threatened me enough, so sure, I'll give in. And it's just like, I just dislike how the IPC is just so heavy-handed, and it's just like, yeah, fuck everybody else, we're just gonna. It's pretty much like every emperor who's just like, yeah, I'm doing this so we can have this like. We'll be all united under one banner, and we'll be able to have universal peace and prosperity because we're all united under one thing. And of course, their thing is money, credits, the Qiblath credit. So it's just like, yeah, but like it's very imperialistic, and you're just going about it in such a douchey way too.
この件は片付いたようなものですね。残りの当主たちは
彼らもきっと状況を理解するでしょう。最後の質問。
正式な会談はいつ開きますか？
あなたに任せるわ。 これからの
ジェイドさん。
この案件はもともとアベンチュリンが引き受けてきたもので、あなたは私が今日ここに来たのは一番難しい問題の解決を手伝うため。あなたならこの案件を上手にまとめられるわよね、エレーナちゃん。
Sounds like she said Helena. Helena. They say J, and Japan is kind of weird with J's too.
もちろんです。ダイヤモンドさんにも大丈夫だと伝えてください。
安心して。ダイヤモンドはいつだって私たちのことを信頼しているわ。あなたの仕事。
I also find that a little weird, right? Like the whole promotional thing. It's like, oh, cool. It's like, but like, considering she's like one of this little group of people, like she has to have fuckloads of money. Like this job has to earn so much money. Like who gives a shit about her position, right? Like sure, like it's a matter of power, but like Topaz doesn't really seem super, materialistic. And even still, it's just like okay, but like, because it's like saying, like it's like if you're making $10 million a year, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna bump you up. This promotion, this position will, give you $11 million a year. Now, for a normal person, you'd be like, oh my god, an extra $1 million a year, like that's amazing. But like, if you're making $10 million a year, an extra million is not going to change anything. Like, you're making so much money, you don't want it for anything. So getting an extra million is not really going to change things. Like I like once I get more money, like I have nothing to do with the money. Like once I've bought the stuff, like once I've bought my video games, once I've bought my books, paid rent, food, all that bullshit, the stuff you actually need to live. Like anything beyond that, like I don't need it for anything. And obviously, like what happens when people get shitloads of money, is then their tastes start to expand. So like, yeah, now that you have a little more money, oh, well, now that's when you want to go traveling. So then you start spending thousands of dollars on airplane tickets and hotels and shit. Sure. Like, yeah, if you're that type of person, yeah, I guess I could see. But even still, like, there's still a limit within reason. Like, yeah, obviously, if you then start getting first class airplane tickets and really expensive fancy hotels, sure, like that will obviously skyrocket the cost as well. But even still, there is a limit. Like if you're taking, like a week off every quarter, so you're taking, and then you're going first class. It's like, okay, so that might be like a $20,000 trip. It's like, yes, so it's $20,000 trip each time you go. But like that's the hell is it say 25,000 since you're only going once 4 times a year. That's $100,000. But like $100,000 is nothing, like. You're making $10 million a year, like $100,000 is not like nothing compared to that. So it's just like, yeah, eventually at a certain point, it's like you make so much money, you don't really need that. And so that's why I thought it was kind of weird, because like, it's not like she's a lowly peon, right? Like she's the head of her department at an intergalactic corporation, and she's pretty high up there because she's part of this little like stone gang. So it's just like she has to be making tons of money. And so it's like she has the money. It doesn't seem like she needs like the position, the power that the position has, like whatever that position specifically is able to do. Yeah, so I don't know. Like they did mention that, so I was like, yeah, it didn't really make sense. It doesn't really, like, who cares? Like. I know, but then again, I'm also very unambitious. So it's like, yeah, when I see all these people like working really, really hard to do like these things because of ambition, I'm like, I mean, I understand it conceptually, sure. You want bigger and better things, but like for me, I'm more practical. It's like, nah, once I have enough money to cover my needs and like any of my extraneous expenses for like random bullshit, like sure, if I want to spend $1,000 on a gacha game, not a problem. Like I can do that. Like I guess if I spent $1,000, like if I E6'd every single character in this game, I think I would be able to. I think I earn enough money where I could do that. I mean, I wouldn't, because that's like stupid and a waste. I don't want to, but like, yeah, maybe if I did that, sure. But even still, it's just like, my needs are met, so I'm satisfied.
質屋は店主がいないと開けないから。また後でね、トパーズ。
待ってください、ジェイドさん。もう一つ聞きたいことが。
あら、何かしら。
無知ですが、あれは
私が情報を見つけたんじゃなくて、情報が私を見つけたの。
Yeah, he's Robin.
その代わりとして、私も彼女のために何かしてあげる必要はあるけれど、わかった？これが投資よ。チャンスのちょうど私が待っている最後のゲストも。
Am I the final guest? Oh no, it's Firefly. Okay. Oh look, there's me.
思ったより簡単に潜入できた。ファミリー、ここが貴重石号。担保で願いを叶えてくれる質屋。そんな場所、この船に本当にあるのか。噂が本当かどうか、自分の目で確かめないと。
Take that, kids.急列車の人たちもここに来てるんだ。
調和セレモニーが延期されて
検査完了。見落としはないよ。
そうだ、もう一つあったわ。オーディさんと話し合って決めたの。ピノコニーに対する七死人のあなたたちもその準備を進め。
かしこまりました、ロビンさん。
Is she gonna give us her hand in marriage?
こんにちは、お嬢さん。
質屋への行き方って知ってる？
質屋。ああ、レディー翡翠の部屋のことです。位置をあなたのデバイス上でマークしましたので。
レディー翡翠。
Special services. She's started her dominatrix.
銀狼のところで聞いたんだったっけ？
There's me.
大丈夫だけど警戒は怠ら。
もし私が勝ったら、あんたの宝箱は私のものだから。
誰が
私が言った。
元気いっぱい。相変わらずだな。ごめんね。私は先にレディ。今はごめんね。今はごめんね。私は先に
ポーンショップ翡翠貴重石号支店へようこそ。お嬢さん、お名前は？
私のことはサミュエルって呼んで。
サミュエル、素敵な名前ね。
私は行きたいの。その願いが
自分のすべて。サミュエルさん、悪いけど帰ってもらえるかしら。文字通りの意味よ。あなたからは強い
やっぱり七草で願いを叶えてくれる。
厳しい非難ね。あなたが理解できないのも無理はないわ。この人たちに会いに行きなさい。彼らは終わったらここに戻ってきてちょうだい。
あのレディー翡翠の雰囲気、質屋の店主っていうより貸金業者みたいだったな。どうせ今は他にやることもないし、彼女の言う通り周りを見て回ろう。
どれを攻撃すればいいんだろう。どれにしたんこの。
勝手に言葉を
今はタイミングが悪いか。ごめんね。後で。今はごめんね。
Okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and take a little break. I have done a bunch, somewhat. Yeah, obviously I have this. Obviously, I'm gonna finish this, but you know, I didn't want to like spend. Oh, I see. It's just it consolidated all of the Memory of Chaos, Pure Fiction, and the new mode. That's kind of cool. Oh wait, I get one of actually shit. I think I was one off for her final Eidolon. Oh, cool, nice. That make her super strong. Well, it make it look slightly better. Like her biggest problem is that it's hard to trigger her follow-up attacks. 8 is a lot of stacks you need to get. Um, and when her attack, I think her attack always gets 2. I think. Uh, I thought Stray could get an extra, but essentially, it's like yeah, like it's just difficult to have all allies reduce toughness. I made her stack though. She actually is the one that has this light gun. I think Claire has her own light gun. Oh, yeah, yeah. I got her stacked. She has a pretty decently high attack considering how high her break effect is. Actually, wait a minute. Oh, shit! I could have stacked her break effect a little higher. Oh, yeah, this is break effect, right? Okay, I do. I oh shit! That's actually 60. That's just crit rate. Crit rate's pretty good. Crit damage is actually kind of a little shit, so I don't want. I wouldn't want to switch. Oh, and that has 21% break effect, which we really, really want. This has some decent speed. That's the problem. It actually rolled really well. So I wouldn't want to swap that out with anyone else. Even if I can get more break effect. Actually, shit, this has even more speed. But this has crit rate, and her crit rate is kind of shit regardless. This, actually, that's not even that bad either. I mean, a flat HP roll, that's bad. But, like, rolled once in a crit damage, once into HP percent, once more into... Oh, that's absolute dog shit. The fact that this has attack and crit damage is useful. This one... What are you? Oh, no, it's outgoing. Medium boost shit. Is there another crit rate one? Oh, it's effect hit rate. I need effect hit rate though. So it's like, yeah, I could fuck about, try to find something a little better. Crit rate one? See, like, I'd want a crit rate one with crit damage and break effect. And I don't have one. I have crit damage ones. It's a shame. It's not all the cool stuff I need. Anyway. So yeah, like, she's already pretty stacked. Like, it's like, this has crit damage and break effect. Like, that's hard to beat. That's shit comparatively. Actually, quantum damage is not super bad. Actually, no, it's not that great. Like, this actually has, actually, is that even better crit damage? 11%, 11.6, 11.6. Oh, break effect slightly worse. The thing is that she gets 100% her break effect as damage. So essentially, that makes her like that'll make her quantum damage go from 8% to like 100 and something 60%, 175%. So like, there's no real point in messing things up.
解決しました。次に移ります。
But anyway, as I said, I'm going to go ahead and take a break. See some interesting things, rant a little bit. I hope they answer some more questions. I understand like the questions I'm asking aren't that important in the grand scheme of things, but it would be nice if they just like the issue is like it's just like so many of these things just have like our one sentence answers. Like what the fuck is a cornerstone and why is it so important, right? You've made them, you've brought our attention to them multiple times, and you haven't even really explained what they are, like at all. Other than that, they are important, and you know these guys and the IPC Stone buddies have them. Like that's it. Like, is it just are there just the ones for their little Stone gang, or are there more? Like who knows? We don't know anything. And then like this time scale, like I really love a timeline of when everything happened. Like how many hundreds of years ago did the dreamscape form? Because there's been so many times where they make it seem like it happened ages ago, like a long time ago, and then there's other times where they're like, oh yeah, this just happened. You know, they make it seem like, oh yeah, these Trailblazers helped us rebuild and do all this shit, and they make it seem like it happened ages ago. But then there's all these people who are like, oh yeah, like who talk about it as if it happened recently, right? Like within their generation or something. It's like it's so confusing trying to figure out when all these events happened. So I kind of wish they were a little more clear on that. Anyway, I mean, maybe it's in the lore or something like that. And maybe if I looked through the booklet and shit, I would find the answer. But either way, anyway, thank you all for watching. I will see you.